Dear Cosmo babies, today we are going to be talking to a very special guest, one of my favorite people that is getting extremely popular on TikTok. I'm your host, Annie MacArthur. I have my co-host with me, Russell Mays, and our special guest for today is Richard McDade, aka Badly Shaved Ape on Instagram and TikTok. So make sure you hit those follow buttons.
I love the name.
Thank you.
Well, welcome to the podcast, my friend. Where are you located?
I am in Fort Worth, Texas. So
okay.
just outside of Dallas.
Yeah, I've been there.
Same.
Very nice.
I have friends that live there.
There's lots of good people in Texas.
So how long have you been in the hair business?
I got my license in 2004. So just hit 18 years? Yeah.
Awesome. And what made you want to go to hair school?
So I'm actually I'm actually a third generation hairstylist. However, I grew up in hair salons, my parents' hair salon. I grew up in my grandfather's barbershop / hair salon. Mm-hmm. I had zero interest in doing hair growing up. It's just what my parents did. It's what my grandparents, I've got aunts that do it. A couple uncles. I mean, you throw a dart at my family tree, you're going to hit a cosmetologist. But I went to college. I had fun in college, maybe a little bit too much fun. And, a little school sponsored semester off, college algebra kicked my ass severely. I ended up in hair school, and it was supposed to be like, just do, it lasts your suspension plus the summer, you can go back to school. Never.
So it was kind of at least get your license so that if nothing works out, you can always do this. Kind of.
It was a little bit of that, but also kind of like, well, keep your mind in the game of school as opposed to just sitting around, for a semester as a 20-year-old and all the kinds of trouble you could get into as a 20-year-old. But then it evolved. I discovered that it's not just being behind the chair. There's so much more involved. Got interested in platform work, education, and it just grew and grew and built from there.
Did you, when you first started, so because you came from a family of hairdressers, did you go through an assistant program, or did you just kind of walk right into it?
No. I definitely went through an assistant program. My journey was pretty unique. So my mom and my stepdad owned a salon in a little suburb. It was actually opened by my grandfather in the late 70s. And they had that shop while I was going through hair school. And the idea was that I was going to graduate, get my license, and just move straight into working there. However, they acquired a high-end salon in a very hot area in Fort Worth right as I was graduating. And so I went from, I'm going to work in this little kind of small town shop into we're going into the big times. And I went with my stepdad, who was the only person working in that salon at the time. And I was laser focused on helping him. He was teaching me. We were walking around, passing out cards, building business. And, I was trying to find models and do all that great stuff. Mm-hmm. I did that for about 6 to 8 months. And it was just kind of the time my stepdad was like, you need some more practical work. So I had a friend who I was going to hair school with. She had just graduated, and she contacted me and said, hey, I landed this job at this pretty cool salon in a mall, and they're looking for stylists. Do you want to come over? And I thought about it, and I took it to my stepdad and my mom, and they're like, no, that's fantastic. Go there, get some hands-on work, apply what you learned, and then, at some point you can come back. And the cool thing was it was way across town. So I could really jack up some hair on that side of town.
Yes.
And the reputation wouldn't follow me to where I was inevitably going to end up. So I did about 4 months at that mall salon. I worked with some awesome people, about half of them. And then the other half, it was after the third time that I got accused of stealing money out of the register from coworkers. I was like, maybe this isn't the right place to be. And so I just let the manager know. The manager was an absolute sweetheart. She totally understood. And she's like, I don't know why they keep accusing you. We have cameras. We know exactly who's doing it. So but I was like, yeah, I'm kind of tired of that. She's like, I get it. So I hit the trail and I went back back to Fort Worth, and I started my kind of hybrid journey of apprenticing slash taking more on clients.
With that type of journey, would you recommend that to students and new professionals out there right now? Like, would you recommend going somewhere that's maybe not super high end and jacking up some haircuts?
Absolutely. I am such a supporter and proponent of the best way to learn how to do hair is to do some freaking hair. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, do a year at at one of these value-based chains and you will learn a lot. Your timing will be impeccable. And a lot of these chains have some really quality education that they give you all the time. Mm-hmm. And you have a whole team of people because it is kind of that hourly slash commission. It's a big team environment and you can lean on your coworkers and your teammates to really elevate your career. So I'm 100% behind going somewhere, getting some hands-on skill, and then applying that, in the future for sure.
What would you say to somebody who is in school right now? Because I know that I had this thought process when I was in school. For me, and I know that a lot of people that I went to school with, we did not want to go to a chain type place because we thought that we were either going to get stuck there or that it was going to look bad if we tried to go to a higher end salon because we didn't know any better. And so what advice would you give to somebody who maybe in that thought process of like, well, I don't want to go there because I'm afraid I won't be able to do something better, bigger in the future?
When you move into like a higher end salon, if you have anything under 2 to 3 years experience, you're kind of put on the same level. So even if you do go right out of school, move into one of these places, learn some decent skills, get some get some hands-on experience, you're going to have, I don't think you're going to be looked down upon. And if that's the case, don't work at that damn salon, that's you don't want to be in that toxic environment anyway. So yeah, I say just go out and do it. If it's 6 months, it's 6 months. Nobody, don't get fired during that 6 months. But if there's nothing wrong with like, hey, I went and tried this out. I learned some cool stuff, but I realized it wasn't for me. And I'm looking to elevate my career as opposed to just digging and digging and digging and trying to get into a super high end salon where it's like so competitive, as a newbie.
Yeah. So. I think that's a great way to put it too. Like if you are in an interview and they're, why do you want to work here? I'm ready to elevate my career. That's such a great answer just in itself.
100%. I mean, it shows drive, it shows initiative. When we're hiring for new apprentices and assistants in the salon, honestly, I don't give two shits if you can do hair. Like between me and my team, we can train a capuchin monkey to cut hair. But I'm looking for initiative. I'm looking for attitude. You can train for skill. You can't train for attitude. So if you go in there 100%. Hungry enough, you can, make an impression. And, even if you did, even if you were working at that value-based salon, if you had 6 months to a year experience, you go into a higher end salon, they're going to teach you their way anyway. Mm-hmm. You're just going to have a little bit of a baseline knowledge. So it's not like, you spent a year learning that stuff. We can't have you here. Like they're blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You don't want to work there anyway.
There's many, many roads to success, and every road is a different path, but the destination is always the same. And it's your definition of success. And the fuel that powers your little car to get you on that road is your own ability to self-motivate, your attitude towards your hard work, and resilient hard work that's been applied consistently over a long period of time. Success does not happen because I was naturally born with it. Oh, you were born with scissors in your hand. No, no, no. You don't see how many late nights I have spent honing my craft, how many days off and weekends that I've spent honing and practicing. They just see the end result. They say, "Oh, your dad's a great hairdresser and he taught you, and oh, you're just born with scissors in your hand." No, it's a continued, consistent application of effort over a long period of time, and it doesn't matter how you start or how that journey's going. That's the fuel that gets you to success town. Period.
Absolutely.
Preach.
Definitely.
100%.
Yeah. I think it's so important to have that, especially like on a platform like this. It's important to have these continued conversations, especially the both of you come from backgrounds of hairdressers. I don't. My parents were in the funeral industry, so very different. And I think it's important to see that both of you still went through the steps that it takes anybody in this industry to become great.
There's no shortcuts.
There's no
There's no
shortcuts
shortcuts.
at all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
no.
whether you spend your time in the penitentiary of learning at a quick service value-based salon, or you go to a really high-end corporate salon, or you go to an individualistic, very artistic, you're still going to spend the same amount of time. It's just you have to pay the price, and there's no shortcuts to that. Doesn't matter where you start or where you go.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. And I've been kind of accused of a little bit of nepotism here, light nepotism, but nepotism here and there. But I tell you what, nobody is harder on you as a boss than your parents are.
Yeah.
Like people like, "Oh, you've got it cush." I'm like, "You kidding me?" Like my stepdad has fired me so many times, and my mother has just like rehired me on the spot. Like I can't get a job anywhere. My work history looks like shit, hired, fired, hired, fired. So, and yeah, and you just, there's no sugarcoating whatever they say to you. I always said I hated having bosses, so that's why I work for my parents. And while that's kind of true, it's kind of a pain in the ass to work for your parents.
Yeah.
But I think that the benefits outweigh the risk, and yeah, and I wouldn't have changed it for anything.
As hard as it is to work for parents who fire you at the end of the day and tell you that they'll give you a shot again tomorrow and you make the best of it. I mean, it ultimately they care. They care about your success. And they have a vested interest in your success. And any good salon owner that is worth their salt will have that same vested interest in you. So that's what you should be looking for when you're going out. It should not necessarily be name recognition, how fancy a salon, how much they charge. I want an owner that cares and has a vested interest in my success. That's where I'll make it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely. I want to talk a little bit because Richard is so popular, especially on TikTok right now. And your content is like by far some of my absolute favorite,
Yeah.
like anywhere on any platforms. It makes me laugh so hard anytime I see any of it. And like if I am having a bad day, I go watch a Richard, like TikTok, Instagram, Reels, like they're hands down like the best. And if everyone listening does not go follow Badly Shaved Ape on Instagram and TikTok, whatever your preferred platform is, like you are missing out major. But I think it's so interesting because you went to cosmetology school during a time where marketing yourself was extremely different than what we have today with social media. And I think that it's important to talk about those things as hairdressers because with the uprising of social and the power that it has behind it today, I personally truly believe that some of those old school marketing techniques are still hands down a key part of building a solid clientele. And I would love to have your input on how you marketed yourself then to how you're doing it now.
Yeah, for sure. I as kind of an exennial myself, I grew up in the analog world, but was able to quickly adopt to the more technical and digital world.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the days of we had the rotary phone when I grew up, and I know. I remember I remember trying to call into radio stations or on the TV, like call this 1-800 number real quick. It's
Yes.
fucking taking forever. God.
And you missed the last digit, and you misdial it.
Exactly.
I got to start over.
Start all over, hang it up. But and I think that gives, that little micro generation, a pretty interesting outlook on this whole, social media marketing aspect, because I can do what I do on social media, but then I turn right around and I've got kind of a blend of both. And I think that's ultimately what it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I did kind of in my early days, we had just opened this salon in a really hot area in Fort Worth, and we had to market it. So my stepdad and I, we hit the streets. We walked down the street. There were businesses, there were restaurants, and we'd walk in and we'd have a cup of coffee somewhere, and we'd, chat up the server and be like, "Hey, I'd love to do your hair. Here's a card." We're still passing out cards. There was no MySpace wasn't even around yet,
Mm-hmm.
and we just kept doing that. Then it came to a point to where, okay, well, now it's actually trying to let's find ourselves some clients instead of just hoping and wishing. So I would walk into a restaurant and I would find the host. And with that host, I would go up to them and say, "Hey, you've got, you look like you have a fun personality. Your hair is the type of hair that I want to do. Oh, by the way, I do hair right up the street. Here's my business card. I'd like to do your hair for free." And instantly they perk up. So you get them into the salon, you do their hair for free, cut color, something that you want to do. If you don't want to specialize in corrective color, don't go out there and get your corrective color client.
Yep.
But, a simple highlight haircut, find that model, do it, and then be like, "Okay, here's the deal. I'm giving you the stack of business cards." And when people inevitably ask, and this is why I love a host at a restaurant, is because they see every person walking
Yep.
into that door.
Yep.
And that's the first thing that they see, the customer sees walking into that restaurant is the host. So the host has to be looking the best. You don't see a host with their hair pulled up or, all sweaty and nasty. That's the surfers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when inevitably somebody asks, and especially like a good lunch rush, you're looking for that business crowd. Somebody asks, "Oh my God, I love your hair." They hand them a business card, and that has their name on the back of it. So that client comes into your salon, and you have now, that host, that model, that little soldier in your army. That's one. So you do 3, 5, whatever you want to be able to maintain them getting free hair. And that's how we did it old school. Now you can do it with freaking QR codes, right?
Yeah.
Now it's all about data harvesting. So same situation, modern times. That host, somebody compliments, they're like, "Hey, scan this." And they scan it, and it's like a pretty simple form of contact information. So now you have the ability to contact that client as opposed to waiting around to contact you. You can now send them an email. You could send them a text saying, "Hey, I've got some openings. I'd love to meet you. How about a complimentary color consultation?" Get their butts into your chair,
Mm-hmm.
talk them up, do your thing. Boom, you've got a client. That's one thing that we did marketing wise.
And I feel like that holds up today.
Oh, for sure. And yeah,
Like, that's such
do
an
the same
easy
thing,
thing
just
to
that
do.
QR code. You kidding me? Like, especially coming post COVID, I think so many people are looking for more of that personal connection.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know we went hard digitally during COVID. I get
Yeah.
it. It made sense, but we went hard.
Yeah.
And now I think it's time to kind of bring it back a little bit. Let's get into the world a little bit. People want to
Mhm.
get out there and
Yeah.
meet people face to face. And so this is a great way for you to market that way. Sometimes I'll go and I'll be scrolling through, a stylist Instagram, and it's just wavy balayage, wavy balayage, wavy balayage. I half expect to like stare at it, right? and like see like a giraffe or something poke out like an old school magic eye picture. You know, that's kind of what it looks like to me. I'm like, man, like how can you
There's
just get
something
lost in that?
subliminal going on here.
Yeah, exactly. It's wild.
Well, I mean, to be fair to the balayage beach wave, if that's your specialty, then granted, that's all you're going to do. It does
Yeah,
get a little tedious and
and
boring.
yeah, and if that's all you want to do, you know, that's why I stopped posting hair pictures.
Mm.
Like, you know, I think in today's day and age, you can assume that you can walk into, if not all, but most salons and get a good quality service. You know, with education how it is now, people are learning a lot and they can do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost kind of like, yeah, it doesn't really matter where I go. I'm sure I can get something, right? So instead of marketing your hair skills, I think you need to market your personality. Like I want people to be able to come in and hang out with me for 2 to 3 hours. Like I want them to be
Yeah.
comfortable with that.
I
So that's
always
why I highlight my personality on um on socials.
Absolutely. I always say in the social education that we do with Scissor and Moth Social, we always tell people like the best thing to do is to blend, to, blend your hair stuff with your personality, because at the end of the day, if a client is going to come onto your page, Instagram, TikTok, whatever your preferred platform is, and all they see is back of the heads, how do they know that they're actually going to get along with you? You may do beautiful hair, but is this a client you want in your chair?
Yeah.
But how do you know if you're gonna vibe, if there's gonna be a good connection there? If you're giving nothing on social except the back of the head. So a question for you, with social media in particular, if you were looking at something that is more personality based and less work based, do you feel like there's a point in someone's career with their clientele that they've already built that they can transition? Or do you think that even someone who's brand new can go all personality, no hair?
I mean, it's definitely the good, especially right at the beginning. You don't have a lot of hair content. It might be all personality, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you kind of have to start. And then you can start blending in. I think you have to blend, you know, start that blend when you can.
Mm-hmm.
And then start to work your way up and then just see what gets more traction. You know, at that point
Yeah.
you can have, you know, looking at the analytics like, oh, the personality stuff is actually bringing more people into my DMs versus the hair stuff. And
Yeah.
then just kind of lean on that and focus on going from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the key point in that determining which one's working is how many real people are you having make it into the salon, not just how many views or likes or shares or whatever, how many people actually ask you about doing hair.
Exactly.
Client coming in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people right now, and this is just based off of the people who are in our DMs asking questions and what the conversations we're having, is I think a lot of people are too focused on view counts
Mm-hmm.
and their analytics versus the actual turnover that you're looking for, which is, are people booking appointments? Are people coming in and sitting in your chair? Are people paying your prices? And are you attracting the right people that you want as clients and the hair that you want to do? And I think a lot of people are missing that point right now because they're so focused on, well, I got 1 million views or this or that, but is it doing what you're wanting it to do? What's your goal?
Focusing on what success is. It's not just the view count. It's me making money working behind the chair.
Yeah. So Richard, when did you kind of have this moment of, I'm going to make fun content. I'm going to change my content to be something that I enjoy making? What was that moment in your brain that clicked?
Yeah, it was actually when I discovered TikTok. And I was aware of TikTok and what it was, but I was like, that's just what them kids are doing these days. I don't know. Very, very get off my lawn type of moment that I had. But I discovered TikTok. I'm sure y'all can recall the big Texas blackout that we had in February 21. Yeah, that's the only thing we had for entertainment for about 24 hours were our cell phones.
Man.
Oh, no.
And like no heat in the house. It's 0 degrees outside. Me and the whole family were huddled around the fire. We were playing board games, but that quickly devolved. It got a little Lord of the Flies moment for a minute. They're like, all right,
Oh
everybody, take a step back, grab your devices. It's
Yeah.
fine. And then that's kind of where I discovered TikTok. And I saw the kind of content that people were making, and I was like, I could do something like this. And then I started creating a little bit like humorous, educational type things. And then
Mhm.
that kind of moved on to a little bit like behind the scenes of a hairdresser type thing.
Yes.
And I was doing a lot of that before I really discovered other creators kind of doing the same thing. I didn't think I was unique by any means, but
Yeah.
I didn't know it was so there was such a plethora of that kind of content.
Yeah.
And I really kind of dug into that and yeah, I really started blending a lot of the personality, kind of back behind the scenes of a hairdresser, wild stuff that happens in the salon, a little bit of client, content. I really don't, I'm not the big like the Karen videos and stuff. I know some people have a lot of success for that. Good for them, but that's not really my vibe. And then I did start putting a little bit of hair stuff into there, but in kind of my own way of like filming an actual hair video, which I've done
Mhm.
a lot in the past, and just like flip my camera on its side to film it vertically, which is
Mhm.
something that I had to get very, very used to.
Yeah.
I've been very pro landscape view for a long time, but TikTok kind of changed that for me.
Totally. Yeah, I have to say, like, I know I already said it, but it is some of the most hilarious content that you make. It is so funny and it's so relatable. And I do have to say, like, personally, I do so appreciate that you don't come from this like kind of downing the client a little bit. Like, I feel like everything you do is like pretty positive and it's never really client negative, which I do appreciate because there is a lot of that Karen type, being negative on the client stuff out there, which totally works for some people. But I feel like when we start being really negative to our clients, like it kind of puts you in a different viewpoint as a professional, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You almost, since you're putting so much of that out, that's almost kind of what you get back.
Yeah.
It's almost like, oh, as a potential client, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I go see so and so. They make all this Karen stuff. Maybe I can act, like an ass so much that I could be the subject of one of those videos one day. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, absolutely not. Like, I want to hang out with fun people. Like, I don't want
Totally.
to. I want to attract the people that I can have a good time with for 2 hours and we can vibe with. And that's
Yeah.
that's what I want to move. I don't know about that other stuff.
See, I'd
Yeah.
always be afraid that that Karen client sees that video and says, "That's me.
Yeah,
That son of a, I can't believe." Oh, well, then there's the bad Yelp review.
Yep.
Another one, just add it to the
100%.
pile. Add it to the pile.
100%. Yeah.
I love. I saw the first video that Annie had sent to me of yours, where you were talking about a client coming in late, and you're going to stay late, and you're like, fine. And then they change their mind on the color, and you're like, well, we're already here. And then they were not going to get a haircut, but now they want a full haircut, and you're like, fine. And a treatment. Okay, okay, we'll do the treatment. Then when you go to pay, this is your price, and she says, I'm not paying anything. The audacity of this person. That's my wife. Oh, okay, I got it. I thought that was brilliant. That was
Yeah,
very funny.
and a lot of and this is a big thing, you get inspired so much from other creators and I came across a video very similar, and they were talking about they made like a cutting board or something, and kind of the same situation. At the end, it was their wife. It's
Yeah.
like, so yeah, I did influence heavily, and of course, I tagged that person in the description. But at the same time, like that's happened. Like I've stayed after work so many times to either do like I'm going in the salon tomorrow on my day off, a week before Christmas, to cut my brother and my nephew's hair. Like it's just something that we do, and it's
Mhm.
kind of irritating, but it's just something that we do. I'd almost rather do that than him coming in during salon hours and taking away potential like business. I don't make my family members pay. I know some people do. That's fine.
All depends on what Christmas gift they give you. Come on. Let's keep it real. There's a running tally.
That's
There's a running
fair.
tally.
That is 100% fair. But and I see those situations from other creators doing something, and I'm like, oh my God, I can apply that directly to my industry or to a personal experience that I've been through. And then you create that content, and you tag the creator. You use their sound, maybe some way to give them the recognition. I wish there was a better way to do it through TikTok, but it is what it is. And then, and then other people will be like, oh my God, that's happened to me, and then, hopefully they do go back and look at the previous video to give that, that creator a little bit of the love too. But it's just kind of how the TikTok Reels thing kind of works. So
totally.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, you go.
I was going to say, it's always kind of difficult to try to manage one social media account well, let alone trying to do 2 or 3 or 4. So, I would recommend someone that's starting, focus on one, just pick one and just put all your energy into that one.
Absolutely.
And don't diversify too much.
I would absolutely agree with that. I think that's the best thing until you get really comfortable with one platform and whatever that platform is. Like, there is no right or wrong. Like, whatever your platform of choice is, one, make sure that your clients are there. So whatever platform you are choosing, make sure that your clients are on it. But just focus on the one. And then when you get really comfortable with the one, then maybe bring in another one, because it is overwhelming, especially in the beginning, if you're trying to like build a portfolio or however you're trying to work on social media professionally.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And, one thing that I've found is that, especially if you're looking to, speak to brands and speak to, some of these more industry, magazines, we'll call them, because there's only a couple real magazines left. But some of these online magazines is that, they're pretty heavily Instagram focused. But of course, they've been digging that hole of building that following for so long. And a few of them are, you could tell it's like, oh, cute. They're trying to get into TikTok, and they try something. You're like, oh, that's cute. But yeah, I'd say either one, and then the cool thing is that, if done right, you can use the same content on both apps.
Absolutely.
It's just kind of figuring out the right way to, cross post without being dragged through the mud about it by the content moderators, the algorithm and stuff. So
absolutely.
I would suggest that of all of them, please, whatever you do, don't start a MySpace account. That's no more. Let it go.
Tom was my first friend.
Tom was all of our first friends.
Tom was all of our first friends.
He was such a whore.
What's Tom doing now? What's up with Tom?
Yeah, he could only afford a small island in the Caribbean.
Hey,
all that MySpace money.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
So ahead, Richard, so your salon has an assistant program in it. That's correct. Yes.
Correct.
Yes. So as somebody who has an assistant program, when you're looking at new hires, do you look at their social media as a part of their hiring process?
Yes, but not in the way that you would think like, oh, like what kind of hair can they do? We go on and we check out, we don't try to delve too much into their private lives, but we kind of want to know a little bit more about the personality and kind of the antics of of whoever we're hiring. And, a lot of people literally just started an Instagram right when they started hair school. Like they weren't involved in it before. And I don't know if they maybe just started it or if they do have like a super secret private one, and that's fine. Whatever handle they give us, we'll kind of scope that out. But we kind of want to know, like, how much drama are you going to bring in? Like what's going to do? Your automobile is in the shop every week, for whatever reason, like that could be a problem, So we do a little bit. Like I said, I don't care if you can do hair or not. I will train you to do hair. but I kind of want to know kind of what we're getting into
Mhm.
personality wise and dependency wise
Totally.
too.
Absolutely. Do you use the like their social media platforms at all to like is that a requirement in your salon? Because I know that there are some salons out there that social media is a requirement as a part of like their assistant programs or any kind of like marketing that they do.
It's really not. We have a pretty strong social media presence in the salon. Um, but I'd say half of our stylists don't have don't really post to social media, at least not hair wise. They might
Mm-hmm.
have a personal one, but we don't require that to be employed by us. Like we don't really push that. We encourage it,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely not, and if somebody posts, if one of our stylists posts something and tags the salon, we'll repost it through our stories or, onto our Instagram page but we'll ask them like, hey, do you mind if we post this? And yeah, so we'll feature them,
Mhm.
anytime that we can and that they want to, but we don't harvest any kind of pictures or anything from them. We let it go pretty organically in that sense.
That's really cool. Because the salon there are some salons out there of just people that I know that they're very adamant about it. Like you need to have a social media presence, you need to be posting, you need to be marketing yourself on social media. What other type of ways do you market, especially newer stylists, like in your salon if social isn't like super
For
important?
sure. We have and it's growing, but we have a small kind of model base, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes any sense. So we've had people contact us before. They might not be anywhere close to being able to afford to actually come to the salon, but we keep their name, their email, and their phone number handy because we let them know that, hey, we've got these, kids coming up that are always looking to practice, a new skill, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe we're having a class and a live model would be best. And if you're pretty open to with what your, with what your hair ends up as,
Yep.
like this could be a very good thing. And so it might just be, for some things, it might just be cost of the product used that the
Mhm.
client would have to pay. So it could be $25 to cover the color that we used.
Mm-hmm.
But our apprentice slash assistant is getting that hands-on knowledge, not only with the physical skills, but also with the soft skills. They're going through a
Yeah.
consultation. They're going through, they're learning small talk. You wouldn't believe how many people don't know how to make small talk these days.
Mm-hmm.
They
And
don't have the words
so
for it. Yeah.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they are, they're learning all these different skills, and we have this, this little group of models, and we're always adding to it. We're meeting people. It could be, sometimes it's a lot of like former clients that have been with us for quite a while, but maybe we've kind of priced ourselves out of their budget,
Yeah.
you know? Maybe they started with one of us when we were fresh and green, and now it's been 5, 6 years later. They would still love to come here, but it's just not quite in their budget.
Yeah.
And so, we kind of pass those clients down to the newer people, still keep them in the shop, keep definitely some of that income,
Mm-hmm.
but allow the young hungry kids to eat as well.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool thing that we like to do.
That
Yeah,
that's
I love
that
that.
right there is one of the things that I feel like is really becoming lost within the sea of booth rental type salons is the ability to pass a client down and
Mm-hmm.
then make sure that the person coming up has some simile of skill of a certain type of training, a certain philosophy that they got from being trained in that environment, so it's not too different as they go down, maybe not as refined, but that's a very solidly built-in clientele for the salon that can be passed down from generation to generation to generation of stylists. And in a booth rental situation, that's hard to do. So I
Mm-hmm.
would not necessarily encourage people to start out going right for a rental. That's another thing, another advantage for going into a place that can actually train you, and you can be a part of the crew and a part of the environment that grows. You can grow faster that way.
Absolutely.
100%.
I totally agree. What piece of advice would you give yourself now back to yourself as a brand new hairdresser?
Oh, that's a great question. Holy crap. I don't think anybody's ever asked me this before. This is a good one.
Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's for sure. I would probably have to say be a little bit more open into like expanding certain skills. Like I am terrible at special event styling updos. Like it is not my thing. And I've been doing hair so long, I don't know if it could be my thing at this point. But, I see some people like Noogie Ty and just what this kid can do. I say kid, he's my age. What he can do with hair. And I'm just like, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that I have enough free time in my life that I could build those skills. But at this rate, oh, I don't know. I just kind of almost am kind of stuck in this, this cut color, thing that I have going. And I don't see anything wrong with it. It's paying my bills and I'm having a great time doing it. But, be more open to expand my skills in other areas, I think would probably be my number one piece of advice that I would give to myself for sure.
So if I'm in beauty school today and I come to you and I see you at an event or a function, and I ask for advice on how do I get started in my career, what path would you recommend and suggest that someone in beauty school try to set their sights upon and follow?
Okay. I'd say number one, while still in beauty school, is find a mentor or two. Now, it
Yes.
doesn't have to be like a Robert Cromines or any of these, crazy high big wigs. I mean, Robert Cromines as a mentor is a good solid bet anyway. But I'm just saying it doesn't have to be these super high end rock star hairdressers. Find somebody find a local business, a local salon owner that's killing it, and send them an email or whatever and be like, hey, I'm so and so, I'm in beauty school, I'd love to pick your brain a little bit, could I communicate with you through email or text or whatever if I have any questions or anything. Like 9 times out of 10 most salon owners are going to be like, hey, welcome to the industry, I'd love to give you some advice. So find a mentor or two.
Yep.
And then while still in beauty school, I like to tell, because I taught beauty school for about 18 months, about 10 years ago. It's about all I could handle. Like, don't get me wrong. I
That's
love
like the military.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah. It was the teaching aspect, the students, all of that I loved. It was kind of the corporate environment that I didn't realize was kind of there, the being micromanaged and stuff. That's what drove me far, far away. But I would tell the kids there, I'm like, hey, make a friend or two, but not a best friend. Like
Yes.
you want to be amicable with everybody. So be everybody's like general positive acquaintance. That'll keep you out of the drama. That will keep you um out of the all the stuff that you hear that is the worst part of beauty school.
The pit of desecration. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is where I tell the kids that I'm like, look, don't go so hard on trying to be the best hairdresser coming out of beauty school,
Okay.
because you will never be the best hairdresser coming out of beauty school. Beauty school is there to teach you how to get your license.
Exactly.
And then everything after that, that's when the real learning begins. So, those three little pieces of advice I would, and that, that helps to put those kids kind of on the level where I think they should be, while in beauty school. Don't take it too seriously, make some friends, find a mentor, and just try to have fun, because it's essentially a full-time job that you have to pay to be at.
Yeah, exactly.
And, if you start thinking of it like that, it'll be a little less, um, sweaty armpit inducing, like dealing with it all. So
Now, when you were in beauty school, since you had already had a little bit of insight into the industry, what's the worst hair disaster you've seen or done yourself?
I cut somebody's ear off.
Like a large piece of it or a little
Pretty
bit?
large. It required
Oh.
seven. It required 7 stitches.
Oh no.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it was. It sucked. So it
You
really
never
sucked.
forget that. You never
No,
forget
no,
that for
and my coworkers never let me forget it either,
sure.
especially my stepdad. No, it was. It was probably about. I'm trying to think. My kids weren't born yet. It's probably about 12 years ago,
Mm, mm.
and I was doing a kind of short cropped haircut, and I was doing a little scissor over comb, and I was coming kind of right back here.
Mhm.
Scissors coming this way, and
Mhm.
I was working this little area of the nape, and I was using a 7-inch scissor,
Oh, shit.
big, hedge
Yeah.
clippers,
Mhm.
and I was so focused on like the actual, first inch of where it was cutting that I didn't look at where the pivot was, and it was like I created, when you cut your finger, you create a little C.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is a big ass C
Mhm.
on her
Yeah.
earlobe,
Oh,
and I just grabbed it, like I cut it and I grabbed it, and I'm like, because like I was cutting, and then I suddenly felt resistance. I'm like, damn it! I knew exactly what it was. Uh, my coworker at the time, I was like, hey Tyler, go get me a towel. He's like, what do you need a towel for, Richard? I'm like, just go get me a towel. It's about to be a lot of blood. And like he just went white and he ran to the back, and we took her to the back. We took her to the urgent care. It was fine. Her wife is a nurse and, was kind of coaching us through it all. And,
Oh boy.
but here's the thing. She came back later that day, had to finish the haircut.
Oh yeah. Oh
shit.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And this was,
she came back?
well, hell yeah. She had to have a haircut. Yeah.
Oh shit.
We didn't charge her.
Of
She
course.
continued to come back and see me for about, like, they moved to Arizona maybe like 2 years later. She came back and saw me every like 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel like that's a testament to because like I've done all kinds of things in the industry, and I was waxing and there was a slip of the digit incident one time, and I truly believe it is how you react to the situation that will make the client come back or
Yeah.
never see you again.
Yeah.
And it's not so much the skill, it's sometimes just the reaction to how you handle things.
That's, it's you sometimes you can't control the actions, but you can control your reactions to
Exactly.
situations. And that's super important.
Yes.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Do you live near a Fuzzy's Tacos?
I grew up eating at the original Fuzzy's Tacos.
Oh my God, I love Fuzzy's Tacos so much.
So the original creator of Fuzzy's, because the tattoo shop that I used to go to a lot was 2 doors down from the original Fuzzy's.
Is
And
that the
we'd
one
go
in the
there all the
University
time.
District
Yes,
with the
yes.
purple margaritas?
Correct. Yeah. It's not the same though anymore, like the original.
Oh.
Like, because I can be like, hey, I could be all hoity-toity about it because I've been to the original. But the original creator of Fuzzy's opened another restaurant that was 2 doors down from our original location at our salon. It's called the
cool.
Yucatan Taco Stand, and it's like Fuzzy's elevated. It's so good. It's so good.
Anytime that I'm in Dallas, I'm like, we have to go to a Fuzzy's. And I always buy like a giant thing of hot sauce to bring home with me.
The hot sauce is bomb.
Oh my God, it's the best.
If you're ever in town, hit me up and we'll go to Yucatan Taco Stand, and they have the same sauce because it's the same original there it goes. It's the same original creator.
All right, so that brings us to the end of another fabulous podcast. We'd like to thank Mr. Richard for coming by and sharing some time and sharing some insight and knowledge with us. And please give us a review on iTunes and check us out on Spotify as well. Give us a thumbs up and a like and subscribe, and we will see you all next time. I'm Russell Mays with my host,
Annie MacArthur.
There we go. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.